Okay, so hopefully this is working, but you guys have been doing these value drawings, hopefully objects in your house, trying to draw them in pencil, and I thought it would be interesting to take it one step further and kind of address the coronavirus, which if you've seen the images, I'm sure everyone's seen the images in the news or online, the coronavirus itself is kind of an interesting looking object when you look at what the virus looks like under a microscope. It's kind of a sphere with these spiky nodules coming off of it. So hold on, I'm getting a phone call. To be continued. Yeah. So anyway, I was talking about the idea of creating a video where you're like fighting against the coronavirus or somehow expressing how the pandemic is making you feel. Obviously, we all want to get through this and we want to defeat the coronavirus. So the project is called Object versus Coronavirus. So, like, I have this really neat kind of replica of a Native American arrow that I made when I was in 7th grade for a social studies project. I made a tomahawk and an arrow that went into our museum at school. I'm not happy with the way I did the feathers because Native Americans wouldn't have had bright yellow, red, and green feathers. So I'm going to cut these off and refletch this with natural feathers to make it look more authentic. And maybe that could be another video. But anyway, in the spirit of these enlarged value drawings, I was going to do the arrowhead pointing at or shooting at the coronavirus. Obviously, it's not that simple. We can't shoot the coronavirus with an arrow, but I still think it would make an interesting image. So I'm going to work on that drawing and show you how I'd go about doing that. All right. Well, I guess it's going. All right. So I'm going to start by drawing the ugly coronavirus over here on the left side, based on an image that I got from my computer. Just typed in coronavirus and it did an image search, and there's all kinds of images of microscopic enlargements of the coronavirus. So this purple one I like. So I'm going to draw this sphere coming in from this side of the page. I'm just using newsprint. It's just a cheap paper that I can do these sketches on. Alright, so now we have these nodules that kind of come up off this thing. And it looks like they almost have like a little crater on the surface of the sphere, and then the thing comes up. And then it has this top that's like round. Like a trumpet with a little indentation in the middle. pay attention to the angle that the nodules come up off the sphere. It's starting to look like something. Alright, so I'm going to actually pause the video and then I'll come back later when I have more done. Otherwise, I'm going to lull you guys to sleep drawing these nodules. Okay, so I've got a bunch of this drawn, and I realize now, looking at the video, that it's really hard to see the pencil on the newsprint. So I'm going to use an Ebony Pencil, which is a lot darker, to start kind of outlining and adding some value and shading in here so you can see things better. So these little craters, if I just kind of add a little bit of shading along the bottom of it, you'll start to be able to see this thing a little better. And it has like some shading along the bottom part of that. And then it's got this kind of dark little crater on the inside of that. And I think just that will kind of help to be able to see what's going on. Ugly. It's an ugly virus. I'm drawing the ugly virus. Alright, so you can kind of get the idea there. I'm going to pause the video again and bring it back later when there's more complete. Okay, so my coronavirus has come to life here. Most of the shading's done. I left a few unshaded so I could show you kind of how I did this. But I just kind of re-outlined the nodule with the ebony, and then maybe make a mark, show where it's dark, and that little indent in the top of it, if you can see that. And then kind of, there's a shadow underneath this wide part. And then kind of shade maybe one side a little darker than the other, like that, and then just add a little bit of value, lighten up my pressure and add a little bit of value into the like stem or stalk of it. Add a little bit of light value into that part. Maybe re-outline that edge of it, and there you go. That's kind of how it goes. Do these lightly. A little bit dark there. There's a little bit of that shadow underneath that wide part. That's pretty good. Just give me this little outline. This one I have not done the little crater on, so I'll do that. It's darker here where these stems kind of connect to the sphere. There's like a dark little pit, kind of almost where they grow out of. It kind of looks like. All right, so there you have that, the ugly virus. Much more visible than it was before. So now I'm going to work on this arrowhead on the other side. So the first thing I'm going to do, I wonder if I can set that up there. I guess it's not going to stay. Put it over here. The end of it I have over a bright white piece of paper so I can really see what I want to enlarge. I can see it really well. I guess no I don't. I want to use the lighter pencil in case I make mistakes before I go to the darker. So I just want to get the shape of this. I think I'm going to have it kind of angling in and pointing at the virus there. So if I start at the tip of this, and it's just kind of rumbly, get some bigger serrations in it here. And again, I'm just using the object as a reference. It's not going to look exactly like that, but so here is where my first like kind of leather wrap is. So this comes out. And this goes like that. And then we have here this piece of wood. It's the end of the arrow shaft kind of sticks out. Like that. That's fine. And then I'm just using my observational drawing skills to finish these leather wraps. Ooh, there's actually more of the arrowhead right here. There's another wrap comes in this way, right up against that. Just kind of does this. This comes down here. You can see that little shaft right there. There's where the arrow shaft would be. I'm kind of drawing that in there so I can see where it's supposed to be. This goes, oh, there's another one that comes down like this. There's a little bit of space that develops there. It's kind of a big wrap underneath. And then there's like this piece that goes under there. There, and then there's like this knot, which looks like it kind of sticks over like that. Like that. Yep. And then the shaft. Darken that down a little bit. Alright, so now I've got it basically sketched in. Now I'm going to start to work on adding some value to that to make it pop as much as the coronavirus does. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to the Ebony Pencil now and start to add some value into this so that you can really see it, so it shows up. I'm gonna move the drawing over here a little bit because I'm not blocking. I think my lighting I know is not good, but hopefully if I when I start to shade this, you'll start to see it kind of take shape. But there's a little bit of a thing here. That. And there's a little bit of this kind of along the edge where it's been chipped and flaked off. Alright, so I think I want to put kind of a light value in the whole thing. And then I'm going to darken the one side more. Really define that line. Alright, now we're going to shade this side darker. My Ebony Pencil is really dull. Not that it really matters, but I have this hand sharpener here in a garbage can next to me. I can just give it a few twists to bring it to a little bit better point. It's a little bit better. So really what I did here was kind of crosshatch, which is a pen and ink technique, but I can just soften it by rubbing on it with my finger, and it'll be a pretty good looking technique for shading with pencil. It's going to darken the other edge of this so you can see it good. Alright, turn that arrowhead so I can see what I'm looking at. There's a few little kind of marks that go off this way. Kind of making it darkest at that point in the middle, and then kind of lightening it as I go away from there. Soften a little bit. It's a pretty good looking arrowhead. Now I'm going to darken this line, but I don't want that to be very dark. There is some textured lines of the wood in here, but I kind of want that to be pretty light because it's wood. Now, these wraps are pretty dark, especially this one side, so I'm going to shade that so it's darker than the arrowhead. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit as it approaches the other side of that wrap. And then it's dark here in the middle in the seam between the two. All right, so I'm going to stop this and then show you the finished product so I don't make you fall asleep. Okay, so there's the finished product. I finished shading the arrowhead pointing towards the coronavirus. And I added a little caption that says, "In the beginning, humans survived by becoming good hunters. Now we will survive by becoming good virus hunters." So there it is. Object versus virus drawing. Hope to see what you guys come up with. All right, we'll see you soon.